Perfect. All right, Michael, we're going to go ahead and get started. And as people show up, we'll keep them adding into today's session. So, kicking off this year, I know we've got our Digital Deep Dive Summit coming up here just under about 2 months. We should have all of that kind of solidified and squared away here in the next 2 weeks in terms of our agenda. Day one, we're going to have three CEOs joining us, as well as really focusing on kind of more the innovation side of the conversation. Day two, we tentatively have the Chief Sales Officer from HubSpot. He spent a decade as VP at LinkedIn and brings a lot of insight into the B2B marketing space. So excited about that opportunity, but we're flushing that agenda out here in the near future. We've got about 50% of the seats sold, so feeling like we're in a really good and exciting place. So more updates will come on that front in the short term. The theme that we're really focused on going with this year is going to be around growth by design, not by reaction. So much of what I hear today is around we're reactive. We're constantly trying to catch up. We're constantly trying to get back to being proactive. Things are changing rapidly in terms of our firm, in terms of growth. And so this idea behind growth by design, not by reaction, is really intended to think about what does the marketing team or growth team look like of the future? How do we have to be thinking about growth differently with all the changes that AI has going on, which I think brings us directly into today's guest, Michael Liner. I kind of met Michael in an interesting way. He's a Clevelander. We don't live far from each other. In fact, we live 3 minutes from each other. He lives next door to a very dear friend of mine. I have two parents with MS. His neighbor has a mom that lost his mom to MS. And we started a nonprofit together, ran it for many years. And then he started telling me after I started working with Gary Shamus that there's this guy that lives next door. He's done an incredible job building up his legal practice, Liner Legal, through digital channels. And I know a lot of you have met Aaron Mink over the years in Mink Law. What they do, very different from what Michael does. To date, Michael's team continues to grow. They've served over 10,000 clients. They work in 50 plus states, have a unique model in terms of benefits. If you haven't had a chance to go on Michael's TikTok channel, 3.3 million views, pretty clean, pretty straightforward. But a lot of what he's built in this community through his YouTube channel, his podcast, his digital footprint has been done through the content that he's created. So, Michael, I don't want to put you on the spot in terms of being famous on TikTok, but definitely one of the more elevated channels when it comes to a professional kind of when it comes to growing. And so love to introduce you and kick things off, maybe a little bit about your story and background, and we'll go from there.
Thanks, man. And first of all, I just want to thank you guys for welcoming me. It's ironic that he mentions Aaron Mink. I don't even know if you know this, David. He was my best friend in law school,
Okay.
Aaron. So that's just a weird
Whoa.
connection there. Very different practices, though. And in fact, Aaron was the one who I don't think he does that much on social media anymore. He was the one who for years was like, dude, your personality is made for social media. Why aren't you doing this?
Yeah.
And so it was, a couple years ago that I finally listened to him after I had him on one of my podcasts, and I was, I just started posting. But to kind of give you some perspective, yes, I'm not here to talk so much about myself, even though I think I'm a case study. I've been told this is an engaging group. You guys will ask some direct questions. I want to share a little bit about my path, tell you what I think I've done that has worked. I don't talk about something that's sexy, man. It's not like I'm out here, talk, sharing stories about murders or the news or things that, just get clicks. People are interested in it. I talk about disability benefits, which is my law practice. That's pretty much everything that I do. But just by what I want to share is the principles that I think have really led to it taking off. I mean, you saw my TikTok channel, which I've really only started building it about 2 years ago, but we've got actually I would say, yeah, about 2 years ago, over 200,000 followers. We've got a ton of followers on YouTube. But what it's done, and kind of going back to the origins of when I started my own practice, there's a really unique fee model in Social Security disability law, which is we get paid on contingency. There's a really long trailer, which creates a huge barrier to entry and how you enter this space and how you get paid in this space. And if you don't have a ton of money to put out on the front end for advertisements, you've got to figure out how to make yourself be the authority, how to make the phone ring for cheap or nothing. So, you go back to 2014 or 2015, I was shooting YouTube videos before people were even really watching YouTube and using those platforms. Some of those videos, those early videos that I've shot, you wouldn't even recognize me. They've got, 80,000, 100,000 views on them, I think. And they're talking about the most boring things you can imagine. I mean, it's not like, here's what Social Security disability is or how to win your case, things that at least if you're going through a process that I'm helping somebody with can excite them and interest them. I'm literally talking about the first videos are me walking people through question by question the forms that they need to have filled out in their case. Now, why is this important? Why do I start there? Because the natural resistance that I'm sure that you're giving or that you're thinking if you're watching me talk about this is I'm an accountant. I stare at numbers all day, and maybe these are my own biases about what I assume your profession is like. But who wants to listen to me talk about this? What could I possibly sit there and be consistent with on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, whatever platform I want to try that's actually going to generate business? But the proof is in the pudding. And, the numbers that you pull up on that screen that David showed, where you see the number of followers I have, the number of likes I have, I don't give two craps about. Am I allowed? I mean, can I like talk like I talk? I can talk like I talk.
Sure.
Okay. I talk like a sailor. Okay. Um, I don't care about how many followers and views I have. We've done something that's cool, which is the revenue that comes from those, because I get about, 10, $15,000 a month from the social media channels because of the number of views on my content. We give that all to charity. But here's what I care about as a business owner. How many people are watching that, picking up the phone and calling my office? And last year, we had over $2 million in revenue just from people who found us on TikTok. Okay. Which, in the spectrum of things, it's small relative to our overall, revenue, but I've only been doing this for 2 years, guys. It's not like I've been doing this, I wasn't like the first person on TikTok. I missed the trend, which means you can't miss the trend. You're only missing the trend if you don't start today. So, I'm happy to give you guys actionable tips. I'm happy to tell you what I did that worked, but the difference between succeeding and failing at any marketing channel is this. Every time I speak to a group of 10, 15, 20 people, whatever it might be, I'm going to get a lot of interest, right? Everybody knows that they should be on social media. They know that they should be posting. They know that they should be, trying to, have a footprint for themselves on the internet so that people can connect with them. But people spend too much time planning in most of our lives. Like as a lawyer, I would never try and present a case to a judge that I hadn't planned for, right? I need to make sure that I have all my clients' medical records. I want to review them thoroughly. I want to know the case better than the judge knows the case. I want to prepare my client for it. I'm sure you guys in your own practices, doing accounting work, have something that you can relate to that. When it comes to marketing, especially social media, people get lost in the planning. They say, well, I'm not ready to post anything. I need to make sure that I have scripts. I need to go buy a nice camera because I don't want to look dumb. I need to, make sure that I've got all my links set up so that people can find me. Stop, stop, stop. Because then what happens is out of the 20 people that hear this, everybody knows that they should be doing it. Maybe half will say, all right, I'm going to hear what he says. People might not do it day one, but I'm going to post a video. But then when you actually go ahead and you post a video on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube Shorts or whatever you post a video on, and it gets 50 views, you're not going to post again tomorrow because you felt rejected by by those 50 views. It took me months of social media rejection where they had me capped at getting like 200 views on things before something slipped through the cracks. And then, one video maybe got 10,000 views, which by the way, that's lower than my floor is now. Anything that I put out gets, usually like 15, 20,000 views once it's done marinating. Okay. But I just kept going and going and going and going. And I'm telling you, if you have the recipe, if you're willing to wait for it to bake in the oven, you're going to have the most delicious bread in the world. And that's what I'm eating every day now. So I'm hoping that hearing that can just motivate you guys to push through the initial rejection of I'm not getting views. This is a waste of my time. I'm happy to share my process for how I do it because the other thing that the other trepidation that I get from people is they hear, yeah, but how much time are you spending doing this? Each video from the time the idea comes in my head until something's posted online takes an average of about 7 minutes. Tell me you don't have 7 minutes a day if I told you that you could add a couple $1 million of revenue to your bottom line in a period of time. The other things that catch people is say, well, so first of all, there's a couple factors that there's no question work in my favor, right? So as a disability lawyer, my practice is nationwide. I can help somebody who lives in Alaska or California just as easily as I can help somebody who is in my backyard in Ohio. And we do. So I've got a greater potential audience. In addition to that, we're able to, sign and help those clients no matter where we are. But I've beta tested this, and that's why I can tell you that I know that this actually works. So, my best friend from college is an employment defense attorney in New York. He lives on Long Island. Okay, and he said these things to me for a long time. I said, Matt, let me give you scripts that you can write every day for 2 months and just see what happens. Let's try this out. And he did it. And he was talking. Now, remember, he represents employers. So it's easier for me to go after what seems like an individual person that's applying for disability. There's a big spectrum of people. It's harder to attract. My friend Matt, he works mostly with car dealerships and restaurants in the tri-state area. Okay. He can't practice law just anywhere. It's state specific. He's barred in New York and New Jersey. That's it. So smaller area of the people that he can help. And he's going after a client who usually does between 10 and $50 million a year in revenue. Okay. Is that real? Are you really going to intersect with that on TikTok? But he did what I said. And within 2 months, he had 3 car dealerships retain him because some employee of theirs had seen his content online. Now, why does it happen this way? These social media platforms push your content to the people who are most likely to see it. You've got to ignore the number of views that you have. You've got to ignore the number of likes that you have because you don't know who that person is that's viewing it and who's liking it. They don't tell you that. They actually do tell you who likes it, but they don't, you don't know their bio, right? If my content talking about Social Security disability benefits, which is going to the everyman, was pushed out to, the Fortune 500 CEO, they would quickly scroll. So TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, that's not who they're showing my content to. They're showing my content to people who are likely to actually want to watch it and stay on it so that they don't leave the page, so that they don't want to go elsewhere. So for Matt, who's going after those bigger fish, the larger businesses, his views might be smaller, but the people who are watching him, the people who are consuming his content, naturally are people who are more aligned with the message that he's sending. That's why it's so smart. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, all of these social media platforms, they're listening to what you're saying. They're consuming your content along with everybody else, and they're giving it to the people who want to see it. So you can do this as an accountant successfully, but you can't give up. You've got to keep pushing, 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 even when the phone doesn't ring, and just trust that you can't like judge over month ROI and it's going to be there. But if you're consistent and you keep going, I have never seen it fail. Um, so, again, that's a little bit of the background. That's the story. But I really want to make sure that because I know your time is valuable, I want to answer questions. I want to, if you guys want to know the process for anything, tips that I've acquired over time, whatever would be useful for you, let's use the rest of our time to help you grow.
Michael, one of the questions that comes top of mind for me, I think there's twofold. Number one is as you evolve, you have a team around you that helps execute and brings it to life. And what are some of the roles those people wear? I think the second question I have is a little bit more 30,000 feet, right? You really started and focused on social media, doing it continuously, creating content, videos. I'll show your video from 8 years ago to today. It's fun to see the difference, but is that the only thing you do, or have you started embedding other strategies like content creation, SEO, paid media into your strategy as you've grown, or is social continuing to be the lead and that's checking all those boxes for you?
So I want to correct the record, and I think it's important that everybody who's watching this understands what my team is like and what they aren't doing and what I'm actually the one doing, because I don't want them to get the impression that you need to. We have 5 people, I think, full time in my marketing department. They oversee our website, which is helpful for us. I've got a PR person who has established me as kind of a national speaker, community marketing and stuff. But the most successful social media platform that we have is TikTok, and I am the only person who touches that. Now, I do have one of the people in my marketing department, their full-time role is responding to all the messages that we get. I mean, that's actually like a full-time job because we get hundreds and hundreds of messages and inquiries a day from people, which we whittle down to, potential clients that we can actually help. But you don't need to have a marketing department behind you to do what I've done. That was me on my own. And in fact, it was only after a lot of the growth had occurred organically from me that I started building these other pieces around me. So I don't want people to think that they've got to have $1 million marketing budget in order to have success. You can do this on your own. My phone, this is my phone right here. This is the only piece of equipment that I have. I wear these AirPods sometimes because I think the sound quality is a little better. I don't have a ring light. People keep telling me I should get one. I don't really care. I've got 2 kids, one who's 11, who's 9. They watch my stuff. My 9-year-old the other day told me that he could see boogers in my nose and snot coming down in the middle of one of my videos. I don't care. The point is, I shot that video and I put it out there. Some of you might think, you don't want boogers in your nose and snot coming down. The point is, when you spend so much time planning, you spend so little time doing. Your anxiety gets in the way of success, and you've got to put it aside and just hold that camera out there. Have a box of tissues next to you if you need to make sure you don't fall prey to that yourself. But you can do this without a team. What was the second part of the question, David? I got
Yeah,
drawn
I mean,
into
I
the
think it's really about the strategy. I mean, are you deploying other tools now? Like SEO, is
yeah.
all of your video content and things you're doing on that front, based on the video you're shooting and then transcripts, or are you deploying multiple tactics to help, widen the depth of your digital footprint?
Everything is very unique. So we in my office, one of the people is very focused on social media, but not on TikTok.
Right.
I'll be transparent. I have struggled we do very well on YouTube now. That keeps growing and growing because we've changed our strategy with it. I haven't had any success on Instagram, and there's not a single social security disability lawyer in the entire United States who has. I don't know why that platform hasn't worked for us. I think there's a market there. And so one of the people in my office spends much of her time figuring out how to try and break through that ceiling. But the team in my office, yeah, it's my goal is to avoid paying for leads. We do zero advertising, even though, we do 8 figures in revenue a year here. Um, I don't pay anything for advertising. We pay to market, and it's all about education. I even from the beginning, if you go back to when I started my own practice and even what I was doing in at the law firm that I only worked at for 2 years after law school, it's all been education marketing. It's me going around to local hospitals and clinics in Northeast Ohio where I live, asking if I could give a presentation to their case managers or their nurse practitioners, never asking them to refer people to me, just saying, I know that you have people that are coming in here going through this process, and I want to give you information that you can give to them so that you don't look stupid when they ask questions about what I focus on. Now, that opened the doors. It allowed me to get these lunches and allowed me to establish those relationships, because naturally what happens is they meet with you, you give them some great information, you wow them with your excellent personality, and then as soon as the question comes, what do they think? They don't want to answer it. They say, call the guy that just, brought me Panera lunch last week. And so from the beginning, everything's been education, marketing, organic. The other pieces to the puzzle, and that's kind of what you're asking about, we spend a lot of time, building up our website. A lot of the social media stuff that we put out there now gets embedded in it, integrated into it, long form YouTube videos. Um, I do have a videographer that I spend about 15 hours a week with. None of that's the stuff that's really taken. It's increasing in its platform on YouTube, but that's the long form YouTube stuff. That's stuff that we're really just trying to build up. We have client newsletters, we have newsletters that go out to our referral partners, but nothing is about how are we going to spend our next advertising dollar. Everything is about how are we going to market better, and how can we intersect with somebody who is likely to need our services, or what I call first responders. A first responder is somebody who my clients call when they have a problem. So my clients are people who are out of work. They have some sort of illness or injury that's keeping them from being able to work. What are the problems that those people are having, and who are they reaching out to help solve their problems? Doctors, naturally, but also people like uh, politicians. I spend a lot of time networking with politicians. Why? Because politicians are known to be able to move disability cases quicker. So when people are going through this process, a lot of times they're sending inquiries to their US congressman or their US senator. So I have contacts in all of those offices around the country. But, you know, everything is organic, education based.
I've got lots more questions and conversation topics. I didn't know if anybody had anything top of mind.
I had a question, Michael, and maybe you already answered that. And if I missed it, I'm sorry. How often are you publishing to TikTok, and where are you coming up with your topic ideas? Is it just like you have an idea one day and you pull up your camera and you record it and publish it, or are you doing some topic planning? Like, what's your thought process and
You
planning
want to do a
process?
fun, do you want to do a fun exercise with me right now that'll take us 5 to 7 minutes? Do you guys want to watch me record the entire process? You'll see the entire thing from beginning to end. I will show you how I do it. Can we spend 5 minutes on that, David? Is it worth it?
Yeah, I think so. I think one of the questions on top of that too is how do you like, are you coming up with fresh ideas every day? Do you have a list of 100 of them and you're using AI? I mean, for me, when I was starting to do a lot of digital marketing, it was every time I was on a sales call or in a meeting, 10 topics came up and I wrote them all down. And then you just start
Yes.
covering each topic that somebody brings up.
That's all it is. It's the questions that our clients are asking us. It's the questions that my staff is asking me. It's something that I'm reading, on TV, or excuse me, something that I'm like reading on in a newspaper article, or consuming myself in social media just by, doom scrolling myself. It comes from wherever. And there's just never ending ideas that I have for this content. A lot of it gets reshot, right? If you go back at this point, I've probably put up thousands of videos. The same thing is in there, 4 or 5 times explained a different way. Often the frequency that I do it, I try and do 2 to 4 times a day. And I mean 2 to 4 times every day, because there's never a day where I can make an excuse and say, I don't have 7 minutes to do this right now. I always have 7 minutes. If this was something that took me an hour, that might be hard, on a holiday or on a day when, my wife is busy and so I don't have I've got my kids trailing me around, but I can say to my kids, watch TV for 10 minutes. I'm going to go take care of this real quick. Um, I would love to show you guys the entire process from beginning to end because I think it could be valuable for you to see. There might be some like weird dead space where I'm like figuring something out. But I had a meet. I'll tell you the whole story. I had a meeting this morning in Elyria, which is a city it's like a western suburb sort of Cleveland. Okay, um, and they asked me something in there. Oh, it was with an organization. What they do is they help injured people return to work. They provide voc services, and they said to me, they were telling me that they weren't sure to how to answer the question for people of whether or not their clients should be telling potential employers that they're disabled because whether or not the employer is going to hold some sort of grudge against them. And I thought, huh. I don't think I've ever shot a video on that before, even though I've shot, thousands of these videos, but I'm sure people watching my channel would love to know, should I tell a potential employer that I'm applying for Social Security disability benefits? Or should I tell a potential employer that I am thinking about applying or that I'm already receiving Social Security disability benefits? So that's kind of been marinating in my mind. I already shot a video on something else this morning, but that's kind of been marinating in my mind as like something that I think I'd like to put out there. I'm going to show you the whole process for this. Okay. So that's the general idea that I want to shoot. Here's what I do. Does everybody on here have ChatGPT?
Yeah.
We all using that? Okay. I go over to ChatGPT, right? And I've built out special, projects for my TikTok scripts just so that it gives it back to me in the right format. I don't want to have to tell it every time, give me a teleprompter script without extra, stuff. It kind of knows at least what I'm looking for because I do it so often. So here's me talking to ChatGPT into my phone right now. Hey bud, I want you to help me come up with a script for a video. I want to answer for the question for my TikTok followers of should they tell an employer that they are receiving Social Security disability benefits or that they are applying for Social Security disability benefits. I'm really just looking for you to help me word this. Here's the answer that I would give somebody who asked me that. I think, believe it or not, that it actually makes sense to put your cards on the table and let them know that. Why? Because what you don't want is somebody to enter a process where they're paranoid about what this employer is thinking of them because they know that they're applying for disability benefits or they're receiving disability benefits. It's better that the employer knows what's going on with their health, with their mind, so that they can accommodate them. But I just want you to help me tell this story in a way that the average follower can understand. That's it. That's the prompt. Now it's going to take it about, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds for it to give me. It always compliments me and tells me that's why I love ChatGPT. It tells me how brilliant my ideas are. It's like what I can't get my wife to do. So I'm taking ChatGPT this. I got to quickly just read it and make sure what it's saying is right. Doesn't mean every employer will be supported. Okay. Yeah, it did a really nice job. Now, so I take this from ChatGPT. I copy and paste it into this app that I have, which is called Teleprompter. Okay. It's free. I don't pay a dime for it. All I do is I now drop that script right in here. I'm ready to go. You guys are going to watch me right now record this video. Okay, a little weird to do it this way, but you're seeing how fast this is. And you're going to see how fast it is for me to actually get this up on social media too. Okay, here we go. Should you tell an employer that you're on Social Security disability or that you're applying for it? Believe it or not, in most situations, my answer is yes. Here's why. What you don't want is to start a job while constantly feeling paranoid, wondering, do they know something's wrong with me? Are they judging my performance? Am I about to get fired because I can't keep up? That stress alone can make your health worse. When you're up front, you control the narrative. You're not hiding. You're not explaining later under pressure. You're saying, here's what's going on with my health. Here's what I can realistically do. And here's the important part. Employers can't accommodate you if they don't know what you're dealing with. Whether it's needing a flexible schedule, extra breaks, or reduced duties, transparency gives them the chance to work with you instead of guessing. Now, does that mean that every employer is going to be supportive? No. But the right job, the sustainable job, is one where you don't have to pretend you're someone you're not. And in the long run, being honest often protects your mental health, your physical health, and your case. If you're applying for Social Security disability or receiving benefits and trying to work, this is something that you should think through carefully. Follow me because in my next videos, I'm going to talk about how working accommodations and disability benefits all intersect. All right. That was pretty quick, right? So now all I'm going to do, I always at the very end, because I think that the endings are weird. I'd want it to be so. This takes me half a second to do in the editing thing. I cut it off so that it actually ends. That when my lips are pursed and I'm done, now it's ready to go. Okay. I'm going into the TikTok app now. I am adding this video to it. Okay. Now there's two more things. We almost have a posted video. Have I even been going for 5 minutes? I don't think so. I'm going to go back to ChatGPT, and here's what I'm going to say to ChatGPT. I want you to give me 10 headers, 50 characters or less with a captivating title. And I want you to give me a caption that's 3 sentences in length and fits the theme of the video that we just shot. Beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop. It's coming up with whatever it wants to come up with again. Now, all I'm doing back and forth is I'm going to copy and paste. This is a great header. It's easy. It's a question that a lot of people want to know the answer to. Should you tell a job that you're on disability? Great, great header. Okay. I'm adding the header. I changed the color so it's red, so it's captivating. You'll see that I keep the theme consistent on all of my videos. I'm going to add the captions to it, which it's doing right now. It takes just a couple seconds. And once I'm done with this, I now have a video that is, this video will probably get at least 50,000 views by the end of the day. That was the process.
That might be one of them. I don't know if that helps or not.
50,001.
You know, Michael, it's cool because, like, you talk to a lot of different people that do this. We never really talk about how the sausage gets made. And I think in a scenario, I mean, one of the questions I have for you is you own your own firm, right? And a lot of partners, and professionals, they have their own practices. Do you think, or have you seen, I mean, you've been in a larger firm before, like, is this something you'd be comfortable with others doing in your firm if you had another attorney doing this? And are there things that you need to be thinking about on how it can impact the greater brand of a larger organization?
Yeah. And in fact, I mean, I don't know if you know him. He's from the area. Do you know Andrew November?
Mm-hmm.
And Andrew works with me, and Andrew's got his own just following exactly what I do.
Yeah.
Andrew has very successful social media channels, which feed our overall structure. Beyond that, even when it comes to the support staff level, I wish that I could push people into doing it more. And the reason is because here's what's changed over time. So we have in the neighborhood of about 90, 95 employees here at Liner Legal. How often do you think that the person who's, watches one of my videos is actually going to end up speaking to me? At this point, I'm the CEO here. I don't really practice law anymore. I wish I did. I love it. But now there's enough here that I have to manage. So I want the people watching us to get used to working with who they're actually going to be talking to, their case manager, the other attorneys, because I want them to feel like they know them. The thing that stinks about being a lawyer in Ohio is that your law firm, your law firm name has to have your name in it. This place has to be called Liner Legal. I hate that. I wish that it could be called like Handsome Disability Attorneys, something like that, because then people wouldn't always call in saying, I want Michael, I want Michael, I want Michael. Michael's off in Illyria. Michael's hanging out with David on a webinar. Michael's not answering the phone day to day anymore. But yeah, I would love it if the other people here got engaged, because then that would increase the familiarity and decrease resistance to working with us from potential clients and current clients.
Any tips on convincing professionals to consider this beyond just doing it? I mean, you got your buddy Matt to do it. That's like pulling teeth, trying to get professionals, like you said, out of the day to day to just start thinking about it. Anytime you've seen a red flag that, hey, this person isn't going to be a great fit, or pointers of when people ask you how to get, like identify.
If you hate your job, you probably shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Okay. But every single person is probably on here because they love their job and they want to do it better and they want to figure out how to grow, not just because they want to make more money. You guys can kind of see I'm passionate about this stuff. I freaking love helping my clients. I have the greatest job in the world. My life is awesome, right? I help people who are unable to pay their bills because they're sick, they've been fragmented by society, they don't know how they're going to, put food on their table, keep a roof over their heads. I restore dignity to their lives, right? And you can find a way where I'm sure you believe you're doing the same thing for people. You are helping people avoid, tragic mistakes that could derail their financial futures. We all can tell a story about why we love what we do, but when you have a passion for something, it's infectious. And that's the difference between me and some of the other people, the accounts that I've seen that stink. When people like monotone, they're boring to listen to, there's no, inflection in their voice. But if you love what you do, you can sell that. And you're not even selling, you're just educating. Talk about what you know. Talk about what you're doing every day, anyways. And if you do it consistently enough and you truly love it, other people are going to tell that and they're going to want to watch you. I
Yeah.
watch some
It's
ridiculous stuff on social media, dude.
it's funny. Everybody on this call is probably like, I wish I had an Ari or Michael in my office that would be really willing to sink their teeth into something like this. I think a big part of the conversation today is how is AI and AEO and SEO changing so rapidly, and the importance of content being from a person and not a brand going forward, and how that's going to have an impact on the way people buy in the future and do research in the future. So to me, that's why this is such an important conversation to be had. Curious if you've learned anything on the negative side, or hey, I'll never do this again because this happened, or any other challenges or issues that ever arose over time. Just curious if you've dealt with that at this point.
Man, that's such a good question. I'm trying to think about anything like negative that's come. I mean, one thing that is frustrating for us, and I don't know what I can change, is that when social media becomes people's entryway into our office, a lot of times they also keep using that channel to try and communicate with us, not realizing that it is a marketing channel. I'm putting out good information that's helping a lot of people, not just my clients. Most of the people consuming me never meet me, never hire me. There's no transaction. But trying to figure out how we can get communication off of social media and into the true client communication channels has been a bit of a struggle for us. But overall, I mean, it's just been a really positive experience. It's helped us get out in the community. It's helped us give back to the community. It's established credibility with more natural referral partners. When you walk into a room and people have seen that you've got, hundreds of thousands of followers and stuff, you I don't I'm you guys might not believe this because I'm so passionate. I'm naturally very introverted. I don't like sitting and going to like networking events and having to shake a lot of hands. That's not my nature. Now, and if I do have to attend one of those things, people are coming up to me, because they recognize me. So it's kind of like taken away a lot of my insecurities about having to go up and talk to people myself. It's really just opened up opportunities that I didn't know were there previously.
You get haters that post, comment.
Stop. I love the haters. You gotta love the haters, David. Come on, man. When you There's no way around it. People will
Yeah.
say, well, that's not true. Or I I got approved and I didn't need to hire an attorney. Okay, congrats. I'm trying to help people. I'm not telling people to come out here and hire me. I'm saying, here's a tip. You guys watch me give that script. Did I ever say, call me, hire me? That didn't look like a commercial. It looked like I was just sharing a nugget that was in my head. It was good legal insight too.
Michael, I have a few questions. You mentioned that you're doing this 2 to 4 times a day. How important do you think that frequency is? I mean, could somebody find success doing this maybe 3 times a week or 4 times a week or once a day? And then what video length do you recommend? And how long did it take you to monetize?
All right, love this all. First of all, um, I I think you absolutely could get away with doing it once a day if you're consistent and you don't miss days. Um, I see a lot of growth inhibited when people, try and do like 3 times a week or less. You just don't have any momentum behind you. And I think it's hard to get the traction with it. My videos are usually between 60 and 90 seconds. I actually didn't even, just because I wanted to like show you how quick I could be. I wasn't paying attention how long this one was. I think it was probably in that 60 to 90 second um, range. Sometimes I go for some really short ones. Like sometimes I like doing things where I'm just saying, hey, I want to, I sometimes I just want to get engagement in the comments because that can be really good. And I'll just do a video that's literally like 15 seconds that says, Social Security put out something today that said they've gotten the average hold time down on their national hotline to, 10 minutes. I think that's bullshit. Tell me how long in the comments you waited for the phone to be answered. And those videos get like 1,000 comments right away. And that video is like 20 seconds long, not even. I do that stuff a lot just to try and get engagement. Um, what were the other questions that you asked, Stacey? I apologize.
That's okay. How long did it take to monetize? Like, when did you start
Monetize?
generating leads and bringing on clients?
Okay. Well, one thing that you've got to remember is the trailer of how long it wasn't how long it took for people to start hiring me. The problem is how long it takes um, to make money in a social security practice to begin with. Okay. So when I sign up, we have a 13-month revenue trail. So if a client hires me to, and that's on average, usually it's between 6 months. Some cases take 10 years. Like the most cases take 2.5 years. But because we really try and build these cases and help people fast, 13 months is my revenue trail, right? So it took, a while till there was actual, I was looking at checks and I'd look up where the client came from and oh, TikTok, oh, social media. Um, but if you were in, for example, my buddy Matt in New York, the who signed up those car dealerships, he had those people, he's only been doing this for a couple months and he's already taken in retainers from
Wow.
some big businesses. So doesn't how long it took me really just has to do with the niche of my business. If I was, had like quick transactions, I probably could have monetized right away. Um, I would say that it took me probably 3 or 4 months to get to, and now I'm trying to remember. I wish I could give you something more concrete. I think it took me 3 or 4 months of consistent posting to get about 1,000 followers. So this stuff doesn't happen like linear. It's like exponential, right? It took me probably like 3 months to get 1,000 followers. It probably took me another 3 or 4 months after that to get up to like 5 or 6 thousand followers. And then you just keep going and going, and you hit on some of these videos. You won't believe what'll get a million views. And I've had multiple, I've probably had 15, 20 videos that did more than 1 million views.
Wow.
Um, and um, it is not exciting stuff. It's the same stuff that I shot every day. And I'm like, this is what did that well? Really? Who's interested in this? But if you just keep going, when those pop off of one video, you can get 5,000 followers. What I'm really starting to get into now that I would encourage you guys to try and I think I think you might have to have 1,000 followers till you're approved to do this. I'm starting to do a lot of TikTok lives. And when I do these TikTok lives, I'm getting a couple thousand, even if I'm only on for 20 minutes, a couple thousand people watching me there. And we are being flooded with inquiries. Like I have to make sure I try not to do them if my intake, I've got 16 people that are my intake staff. They just answer the phone for new potential clients all day. That's their job. I don't do those TikTok lives if my intake staff isn't working because we would end up with all these people in our voicemail. And I want to be able to help people and kind of be prepared for that. So it's a lot of ways you can approach this.
So you're
Could you
doing
speak
this on
to,
Saturday and Sunday? Oh, sorry, Ross.
go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 7 days.
Could you speak to the importance of that engagement? Like, you talked about the importance of having people engage with you in the comments. Are you engaging back with them and having conversations? What does
Yeah,
that look like for you?
because every single person is a potential client. Every time we sign, the a client sign up for me, and we're very selective about the cases that we take because I'm only incentivized to take a case that we can win. But every sign up is worth about $2,200 for me. Every client we sign is eventually going to be worth about $2,200 in revenue. So we need a lot. I mean, right now I'm representing about 10,000 people nationwide. Okay. But yeah, so that's why I've got that person who full time is sitting there responding to comments, responding to DMs, engaging, because every person could eventually turn into somebody, and that's how you've got to view them. But again, and I said this earlier, but it's so important that I'm going to repeat it again. There's vanity numbers that people love talking about, which are here's how many likes I have, here's how many views I have, here's how many followers I have. I would rather put up a video that got 10,000 views, but got, 40 people to call my office that were good potential clients because of what the topic was, then I would have a video get 3 million views where it was about some generic topic that's going to get anybody who's watching it that calls is probably calling about something that's not really going to result in a client for me. So for me, where I'm really making my money, it's not it's not the checks that come from TikTok. It's the people who choose to actually retain my services. And my best videos financially are the videos that probably didn't do as well, but got the right clients to raise their hand. I talk a lot about what to do if you're applying for disability benefits and you're over the age of 50. Why? Because those are my best clients. Those are the cases that are the easiest to win. I want everybody over the age of 50 to watch them. By the way, this is another misconception that I want to break. People are like, TikTok is for teenagers. How are people going to find me there? If you saw the statistics, every time I shoot a video, within 24 hours, it usually gives me good data on who's watching, male versus female, where they're located, at least what country they're in, as well as their age. More than 60% of the people watching me are over the age of 50 years old. It's not just a bunch of kids, which goes back to what I said at the very beginning of why you should be doing this. TikTok is pushing, the dancing stuff and the music videos to the teenagers, but they're pushing me to the older people because they know that my services are most likely to intersect with them. It's listening, it knows. So there's vanity numbers that don't really matter. What you need to focus on are your KPIs and how this fits into it.
I love that.
I have a question. I feel like I can't speak for everyone's firm, but I'm thinking of my firm, and I think if I could find the right person to do this, I think they would absolutely do it. But what hearing from you is that you're hungry and that you're creative and that you're willing to put yourself on camera, and none of those things scare you, or you've gotten to a place where none of those things scare you. I think for me and my firm, and maybe some others here, we might have to push a little bit harder. Um, it's not a bad thing, right? Pushing can lead to good outcomes. But I think the piece that we kind of skipped over here is you've alluded to like how you come up with your topics and the research and all of that. But could you elaborate more on, I mean, do you have a spreadsheet of 1,000 ideas out there, or are you asking AI for ideas, or your mind's just always going and you've got the next idea of what the next video is going to be?
Orby, I promise you, your mind is always going too with things that you could turn into content. What, let me ask you this. Before you signed on to this webinar, what were you doing, if you don't mind me asking?
I was eating lunch. This is right
Okay.
after lunch for me.
What were you doing right before you were, what was the last
Um,
work task you were doing?
Before that, I was reviewing some keyword research from the year that ended in 2025.
Okay. That's a topic right
Hmm.
there. There.
Sure.
Now, you might think, who wants to watch this? TikTok will find the people that want to watch this because
Hmm.
they're already searching for content like that. You could talk about, here's the three things that I learned while doing, topic keyword research that you'd be shocked to find out.
Hmm.
Make it specific to whatever
Hmm.
research you were doing. I'm telling you, there's a video right there.
Well, and I
All
think
the,
what's kind of cool, Corby, is just thinking about this differently. It's like, how do we become Michael the way he is with us to our professionals, right? Like
Hmm.
getting into the realm of asking them these questions as, you might find 10 people to show interest. Eight of them are really boring and monotone on camera. Two of them might pique it up, but like, how do you start kind of ideating, if you will, as part of it? I think that's a great, question, and I think AI can help, but it's usually just us needing to be the leader, to get people out of that comfort zone because no one else is going to do it for them.
Yeah. Well, I think the takeaway for me is like, well, you said it, everyone can find 7 minutes, right? Like it's less of an ask if you're like, hey, I don't need 7 hours. I just need seven
A cool
minutes.
challenge to roll out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's funny. I don't know if you guys looked at his YouTube channel, and I love this, right? Seeing the videos from 8 years ago, 3 years ago, suit and tie, now he's got kids, losing a little hair, and now all of a sudden, totally fell into your brand in a comfort zone, right? It's just an evolution.
I
it's
did
a
also want to ask.
revolution too, baby.
Revolution. I love it. I did want to ask, it seems you're the CEO of your company. I mean, it seems like for you, it's very focused on like you and your personal brand. Do you have a recommendation on, is it the firm or the person, or is it some of both, or how do you navigate, that dynamic?
Doesn't matter. I mean, whoever's most passionate. Like I said, um, Andrew November, he's another attorney in my office. He doesn't own the practice, but he's out there putting up the content because he's passionate about it too. Um,
I
and
don't think it can be the brand. I think it has to be the
it's
individual and
it's
the
the person.
professional.
I'm not out here as Liner Legal. I'm out here
Yeah.
as Michael Liner.
Yeah, I think that's a key. And then figuring out how you tie it back into the brand eventually. Like your point about, hey, you're setting the culture, the tone, the voice. People are enjoying the content. Then they go talk to a case manager. How do you make sure that same culture and experience can be trickled down to those that are that are starting to work with you to get that type of vibe or experience? I think that's going to be one of the biggest shifts going forward, in digital marketing in general, though, that we're looking for more professionals and individuals and people building their brands digitally than the company, which has historically been what it's done. You go to a website, they focus on SEO, they pop up in Google. Today it's about trust, building trust with people in a digital platform. And in order to do that, you have social. I think what's also interesting, and Stacey, we've had this conversation a lot, is where do you tie in PR? Right. PR seems to be a big part of it. And PR I struggle with in a lot of cases in really generating an ROI that drives significance. But when you're doing both at the same time, does that up the game and change the game?
Yeah.
Anything else, Ross? I know you had a thought, and then we're gonna wrap up here. We got about 5 minutes left, and Michael, this has been great.
Yeah, I mean, one final thought for me is if you could break down like the ingredients of a successful video, because I think a lot of people on this call may not necessarily be the people recording the videos themselves. They're going to try and recruit partners within different parts of their firm to record videos and be that kind of public facing persona. What would you break down as being important advice for those people in terms of what goes into a good video, like having a good hook, your energy, things of that nature?
Energy, um, short videos that answer one question. Don't try and do too much. Just answer one question really well. Um, a hook in the first second and a half. You have about 1.5 seconds to hook your listener. If they're not interested right away, boom, they've got a million other things they can watch. And what these algorithms look at more than anything is how long your average viewer stays on the video, right? So having a quick, jolty opening line. Here's a secret you might not know about fill in the blanks, about keyword searches for whatever Corby was doing. Okay, you know, myth busting does really well. Taking people's myths or misconceptions about what you do and trying to correct the wrongs. Newsjacking, if there's any sort of news story that's out there that somehow relates to what you do, talk about it. The news that relates to what I do is boring as can be, but those videos get hundreds of thousands of views every single time I talk about something that's in there because people are reading it elsewhere. And so they're going to push TikTok's version of your content to it. Having the energy that you talked about, using humor where it's possible, and just being authentic, not feeling like you need to act for anybody. The energy that I gave in that video is the same energy that you guys have watched for the last hour, and it's the same energy that I think I give David a different energy when I see him on that bike path by the house. I'm normally like staring in my phone like a zombie. But this is like my energy for every day. So as long as you're authentic self, that's what works.
Awesome, man. This has been great. Like I said, we always talk about the sausage, not always how it gets made. Hearing from both perspectives, really do appreciate it, Michael. And we'll regroup here. Everyone, great to see everybody. I thought this was a great conversation. We're going to be sending out some follow-up details here in March. Michael, if anybody has questions, thoughts, ideas, I'm going to send them your way. And again, thank you so much for your time. This has truly been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I hope it was useful, guys. Thanks for inviting me.
All right.
Thank you.
See you
Bye.
guys.